Okay, so to look at this. So in manners, mildness, we speak gentleness. It, it's interesting to me because I can get a real mean face, even though I don't know it. Can you imagine this face? Or not Charlie. I'm kind of a happy-go-lucky guy. But I get mean faces in ex-military, Dan Crenshaw. He comes back from Afghanistan. He lost an eye because of the war passion, and he got into politics. Conservative. In that, a meeting on Saturday Night Live, he was making fun of David Crenshaw and about his passion, about his political stances. And you know how they do. And the interesting thing was that the comedian, Mr. Davidson, was that he caught wind of this guy that is criticizing and making sometimes not too well. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever seen boxes that have handles with carrot on them? Or fragility? Or fragile? Can you imagine if people had that on? How would we handle it differently? That's a tough one. Not tough. I always try to put how I live day to day and how I think. God shows me something in this world. How am I doing in that area? There are times I can be very gentle and try to be, but there are times I'm not. So that's why lessons like this is important to me, because you know what? All of us were made by God, and we do have handles of carrot, whether you can read it or not. So how are we doing in that department? Y'all ever got a package that look like they didn't handle it with carrots? Matter of fact, it looks like once it fell out of the truck, the back there, and picked up to the back of the truck, that's pretty cool. That's why it's important that we're gentle, that we learn softness and manners. How we talk is part of being gentle. You know what though? I do want to insert this right here, because it has been said that gentleness is weakness. There's nothing further from the truth than that.
Flip that W upside down.
Gentleness is not weakness. Gentleness is strength under control. When you do what Pastor does a lot, and this is not written down, it's just something that just hit me. When you deal with folks that are out of control, or they want to be out of control, you still have to be stern. You still have to stern and direct and make our points. Because I think our cultures are thought through gentleness. The reason, in general, what I came up with, that statement that I made a few minutes ago, that gentleness is weakness, that's what our culture tells us. Because they have in our mind, if you talk like I do, or you talk like Pastor, sometimes very direct and very precise, and let's just hit the nail right on the head, to deal with this, that all of a sudden we're not gentle. That's not true. Now, if I do it in an ugly tone and all that, I'm not saying that. But people automatically, they want to define what gentleness is. Sometimes the most gentle thing I can do, because you know what? I care about them. I want to see them get hurt. Think about the shepherd. Why he carried the staff. You get a sheep that kept going out, the first his staff, you break his leg. He would take that stick and break that The sheep that kept wandering off, wandering off, wandering off. He'd break his leg and for twofold. So he wouldn't run off, and another thing, he had to carry it until the leg was healed. So he developed a relationship. That sounds very cool. You know, sometimes the best thing you can do for somebody, is break their leg so that they can't go hurt themselves. Because what happens when that sheep gets a poem, I guess it would be a poem. Everybody knows footprints in the sand. Get back to that, you know. He said, God, you left me. There were two, and when it was one set, I was carrying. So, you know, so we need to think about when we're dealing with foes, handle with care. What is gentleness? I'm getting around what it is now. Okay? Oftentimes the meaning of a word gets lost in translation. Language or others. So I found this, and it says, trying to translate the word orange to an Eskimo is very similar. You got a guy that lives way, way out. Oranges don't grow in Alaska, by the way. And you try to describe that to an Eskimo. And I wrote down, would be difficult. I thought this was interesting. This is the gentleness / meekness as a center between two extremes. We call it, or I call it, middle ground. For Aristotle, gentleness meant finding the proper balance in life. Gentleness and meekness maintains a good equilibrium. It has to have a steady to extremes. That kind of hit home for me. I've already said I'm sort of extreme, but this really does bring it down because it kind of gets you in that middle. You know, because and I keep looking around in our culture. There are definitely we're an extreme culture. You're either extreme to the or extreme to that. It seems there's very little middle ground these days. Very little where you can be in the middle. You know, I love to hear this word bipartisan. I'd love to see it. I hear it a lot, but I would love to see it. Seriously, I'm sort of being sarcastic, but I really would, because that is that middle ground. That is where gentleness comes in with us dealing in relationships. Is right in the middle there, to where we're not offending one, we're not just letting something go, but we're not just tearing them all up. We're kind of bringing everything to the middle, to the center there, where we can work with somebody, where we have an audience with somebody that'll listen to us, so that ultimately we can help that person. Or ultimately that person receiving it, they can help us. Does that make sense? Gentleness is kind of that, right in the middle, where you can work, where people will listen to you. Because I don't know about y'all, but if you want me to listen to you, don't start the conversation out screaming and yelling. Because 9 times out of 10, that's how I'm going to respond. I think it's a natural thing. Or it's all me, you know what I'm saying? That's how a lot of people try to go at things. Very little gentleness is shown. Gentleness and meekness can be illustrated, I thought this was good because I'm an outdoor guy, as an animal being trained. Y'all ever seen them break horses? Preachers do like this. That's one job I always thought I'd like to try for actually. One of my favorite things to do is go to the rodeo. But it's interesting to me because they do these wild horses, they break. Gentleness is that same way. Think about that. You still have a strength, but now it's focused, it's training. That's the same thing that gentleness does for us in our lives when we're dealing with us. And we still have all that. We have all that power. It's just all that. A good definition or example of gentleness is I wrote down. Gentleness is powerful. It is submitted strength. And I'll just jump right in now. Submitted strength to the Christian is we submit to God and let Him work through us. And we know we're looking at the fruit of the Spirit, part of it, that's part of that. And for people that are high strung, like myself, and can see, like I told y'all, I see the problem, I go straight up here to the solution. Well, sometimes I can, and it's not that I'm deliberately not being gentle or whatever, it's just the way that my brain works. But when I found that if I would just submit, you know, dealing with my two little grandsons, they're like that, you know, what's easy, you know, when they're tearing up stuff, you know. But what happens is that messing it up. You know what I'm saying? You can break their will. I don't want, let me see what I'm trying to explain. That didn't make sense. I want them to have that spirit, that adventurous, that figuring out how to, it's in little Colton, he's a 3-year-old, that to continue on to manhood. But if I jump on him, that might quench that. And he doesn't have that when he's old. Does that make sense to you? So my gentleness comes in on how I approach him. Instead of, hey, boy, don't need, you know, that's what comes natural to me. Boy, don't need tearing that up, you know, that type of. No, it's like, oh, that's it. But you got to be careful. You know, God's actually my grandkids to help me with justice. It's because, you know, my natural reaction is, hey, don't tear it up. What's wrong with you? To where now it's like, let's use this as a teaching moment. You can, I don't want you tearing things up, but you know, if you do it this way, you won't tear things up. And that's the way that God said, do not be careful. Just being that ready. Now, the 1-year-old, he's still holding his hand. We're going to work on it. Gentleness or meekness is part of the fruit of the Spirit. A great example of this to me is I deal with water. I'm a farmer. But when you contain that power of water, gentleness is developed forcefully and gently.